Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I have a special guest right here, Dr. Angie. So what is up?
Life is up. Today is an amazing day, so life is good.
She's taking over my co-work space now. We met, when did we meet? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago.
Walking across the street.
I'm walking across the street and she cuts me off, and then she realizes I'm black, and then she apologizes for it.
That's what happened?
That's the story. I'm sticking to it.
I did say hi, black man, though.
You did say hi, black man, within like 2 minutes. All right, so I wanted to do this interview because recently you guys have been seeing me do a lot more of these interviews with black travelers, and I keep telling people that I'm running into a lot of people of color here on the road, especially women. And Dr. A, she's doing some very special, some wonderful things out here, some very unique things, and I think it would help a lot of you guys and ladies, of course, to not only follow your passions and your dreams, but how to make a living outside of the US or the UK, or basically the Western world. So why don't you give a little bit about your background and exactly what you're doing, and what kind of doctor are you?
Social work. So Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth, I am the CEO and founder of Be Lead Grow, which is an initiative from Healthy Villages where we literally help leaders to accomplish their big goal. And so when I say big goal, I'm talking about your bridge to your irrefutable greatness. So my thought is that, and what's the truth, is that all of us have this one goal, that if you accomplish that thing, it will propel you to the next level. So for me, it was moving overseas. And that one thing has skyrocketed everything else. It was the one thing that I needed to do that gave me not only the confidence that I needed, but it put me in the space, the energy, the environment, and it gave me a reminder of all my skill sets that I needed to pull out. So in a very short period of time, like literally today, the day we're doing this interview, I just got done speaking at a women's leadership and empowerment conference in Bangkok, Thailand. Who does that? Like, so, and speaking to women from around the globe. And so you start out saying, oh, I want to heal the world. I want to have a global impact. And you don't really move to that beat. You know, when you're in America, sometimes you can be so consumed with the minutia of life. Yeah. And so when you get set apart a little bit, it gives you time to really hear your own voice. So my thing is, of course, everybody can't move to Bangkok, Thailand. It's just reality. So it's how do you create the spaces and the energy and the clarity to really find and to tap into your greatest self, and which is the name of my book. But it's really to not only just tap in, but it's also to tap in so you don't tap out. We have a lot of leaders that are literally dying from stress, overwhelm, and just, I say confusion. So you're doing all of these things and moving to the drum and the beat of someone else's drum, opposed to really truly being in alignment with who you want to be. And so you get overwhelmed and exhausted and you die.
So where did this idea come from for the book and the program? Like, what in your past led you to create something like this?
Many things. So I am a social worker by training, but most of all at heart. So background, BSW, MSW, PhD, everything social work. But I consider myself a professional mutt, meaning I just have a background in, I've been clinical practice, I've been a professor, communication, cultural diversity. I've done literally diagnosing is what most people would know it as, but it's called differential assessment, human behavior. So I've learned so many different things, but most of the time just really being cognizant of life and paying attention and realizing in each of these environments. And I think a lot of it came too when I was a director of organizational development for a mental health agency, and seeing how many people were stifled just by simply not being exposed to certain things. And then I finally got to a place where I started this saying that I used to always say, it's my genius will always make room for me. My genius will always make room for me. And listening to my mentor who said, you know, you gotta walk your talk. And so I got tired of going to work and teaching my students, telling them, okay, my genius is going to make room for me, but yet I'm staying in a job that I'm not happy. Right. I love to travel, and I'm only staying in this little bubble of the Caribbean and saying, you know, yeah, I'm going to be a global citizen. And it's like, you don't know the globe. Yeah. You know, you're limiting yourself. And it's not the world is limiting you. I was limiting myself. And it took, you know, tragedy in life, you know, lost a very dear friend, lost my child in pregnancy, and that really gave me a push to say, I don't get no do-overs with this. So every decision, every action is all about what I choose and how I choose to show up. So I'm going out with a bang.
I hear that. So you started this project. So when you we were talking before that you started with the remote year program.
No, my Wonder Year.
Oh, my Wonder Year, my Wonder Year. Mm-hmm. So my Wonder Year is very similar to Remote Year. They're two very similar programs. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been very critical of these programs in the past. I believe they're whitewashed. I believe they're overpriced. I don't find the value in them. I've been openly. I've said it a lot. I've said this. They've gotten pissed at me sometimes. I'm okay with that. But you're the first person that I've spoken to on camera who's participated in the program.
Oh, Lord. I didn't know these questions beforehand.
No, she didn't. So my question is, how does a program like My Wonder Year put you in a position to create the business?
I ain't put me in a position to start my business.
Okay. Okay. What were the benefits? Because
I didn't say it like that.
Well, because a program like My Wonder Year and Remote Year, they take people from the West, from the U.S. or the U.K. or Canada, wherever they are, and they put them in, Bangkok or Prague or South Africa or wherever.
I got an answer for that.
Yeah.
All right. So I already had my business's name is Healthy Villages, and Healthy Villages really was focused more so on organizational development, but there still was a leadership piece. The L in Healthy is because Healthy is an acronym. It's to lead with vulnerability and joy. And so once I moved overseas, I realized that I needed to shift to doing more things that were digitally based. So I'm a digital nomad now.
Wait, when you moved, did you move with the program or did you move on your own?
I moved with the program.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it gave me the peace of mind that I needed to know that I would be around
like-minded people.
What I perceived to be like-minded people
Okay.
who I thought were all going to be also business owners and creating things and having a culture of community that I would be able to grow with, and literally take over the world. So I'm like, oh, this is my business posse. And but a lot of times, not just My Wander Year, but from what I've heard from other people who've been in other groups as well, there's such a mixture. So you have a lot of people who are either retired or who just don't have to work, or who were smart and saved up money so they could really truly have an experience. So you have all of these different dynamics. So if you're the person who's at the co-working space, I can't say that there was a majority of people starting businesses. People were starting and dibbling and dabbling, but a lot of people really kept their remote work back home. So that's a very different experience than somebody who's a all-out digital nomad and an entrepreneur, and every dollar I get I gotta work for it in a different way. Not to say that people, it's just different. Here's one thing I say all the time. It's one thing to be, and I know we're just talking about life right now, but it's one thing to start a business. It's one thing to live overseas. It's another thing to move overseas as a woman. It's another thing to move overseas as a black woman. So there were all of these different layers. And I think not only just not My Wander Year, but those remote experiences really don't cater to all of those varying different levels of need that you may have. I think that they make efforts and they may market in a way that says that you're going to be supported in certain ways, but it doesn't cut the cost.
Okay, so as a digital nomad, and the whole digital nomad thing that we live it's turned into something else. Like everybody, like in Chiang Mai, you did some time in Chiang Mai, and again, something else I hate Chiang Mai,
and I love
it, which is the common. So
I'm a hippie.
My issue with Chiang Mai, not necessarily Chiang Mai, like the people. I've always loved Chiang Mai. I think a lot of my annoyance with Chiang Mai today is because I went there 10 years ago. I remember what it was. And I feel like this entire digital nomad community
exploiting the community.
is not only exploiting the Thai community there and the poverty there. I think they're full of shit. And they take advantage of people's gullibility and lack of knowledge.
You better preach. Everybody, oh my God. Everybody gets access to the microphone that doesn't deserve it.
It's really frustrating to watch them sell these pipe dreams to a lot of people. So with that said, do you feel that it is it's responsible on an individual basis to pursue a digital nomad path? or do you think it's, you know, it's at times foolish? Like, where do you fall on that?
Let's say this.
Because I know a lot of parents, a lot of people are sending me messages like, "Oh, I want to be a digital nomad, but my parents are saying they'll cut me off."
That's a second layer. Actually, a gentleman at the conference today who's from India, he was like, "Oh my God, your life. My father would go crazy if I said I'm going to sell my car. How can I be a provider without my car?" And I'm like, I literally give up everything. When you talk about being responsible, like I consider myself, I use the hashtag all the time, certified leaper. Like I'm a person who's consistently taking leaps. And I talked about it earlier today, like the willingness to move to another, like I came to Bangkok and didn't have a housing set up already. Who does that? Like I knew I would go to the hotel for a couple of days, but I'm like, oh, I'll find a place. Like literally in a couple of days, my apartment's gonna be up. My mom's like, where are you gonna be at? I'm like, I'll figure it out. So I've kind of trained myself. I've moved to cities not knowing certain things. So I have a certain level of resilience already built within me. And I've been tried and true. But for people who really have not lived in multiple places, they haven't had to interact with different types of people, I think it's foolish if you do that. Even for me, it's still major culture shock, hence his video the other day. It's just also I felt like I had a little oomph that allows me to say, okay, if I've gotten through the many things I've done before, then surely I can get through this.
I think we're built for that, though. Yeah. I think, and I swear to God, I've been writing this article for like 2 years about what growing up black prepared me for travel, or how growing up black prepared me for travel. Because I think that we already have the tools. We grow up with the tools. Like, you know not to go down some random dark alley in a city you don't know. I was like, yo, I ain't going down there. Yeah, like I know. I was like, yo, man, I don't know you. Don't give me no open drink. I don't know you. Like we're already suspicious, but we're already open and we're cautious. And but we're also open to people. And that's one thing growing up as an African American is that I feel like we've always, a lot of us, we are the life of the party. We are beacons of light and energy, and people gravitate to that. So it makes it so easy to meet people. That's why people say, "Why are you always smiling?" I was like, "Man, I'm in Bangkok. Like I literally get paid to create cool content. That's my job."
And you're living a life that you love.
We live a life. So, with that said, as a black female who is living as a digital nomad, who is trying to create something from scratch, what do you find to be some of the biggest barriers that you faced globally, and some of the benefits that you found that you had that maybe you don't have back home?
Okay. Well, I gotta say one more thing first before I answer that. When you just were telling that story about what has being black allowed for that, and it kind of feeds into it. The first image I got was my family traveling in a car going down the road from Ohio to Alabama and pulling over on the side of the road with like buckets of chicken.
That was my first trip. My first road trip was from Canton, Ohio, or Akron, to Phoenix City, Alabama.
Shut up!
Yeah.
See?
I swear to God, that was my first road trip. Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah.
See, we cousins. So it just, that image just popped up in my head when you said that, and it's like growing up in a family that believed in travel, believed in the journey of being able to support family members and to keep that connection, that relationship going. So we talk about transferable skills, but transfer that mindset of the journey is worth it. So, and apply it to yourself as an individual, the journey is worth it for me. So it's not just, doing whatever it takes, making that sacrifice to pack early, which is meaning, to prepare financially, to have the support back home. In the same token, I also know my family that took that journey to support other family members are now taking the same efforts to support me here. And so the biggest benefit has been, and I always say I grieve and celebrate everything. Like, I mean, everything, literally everything. And I am so grateful that I am a village baby turned village lady. So I grew up having a family that taught me what love looked like and support looked like. And then also I'm learning how to share it. when love doesn't show up and it's not healthy. So one of the benefits has been really showing me who really supports me, who really is going to do the hard work to maintain a relationship.
We were just talking about the friendship tax. Like,
Look.
because let me tell y'all something about this woman. You have, in the past couple weeks, you have been involved in some of my closest friends kind of situations, like potluck dinners, meeting
times.
up, going aways, my birthday. And
It's so much
yeah,
fun.
we had a good time. But it's interesting because there's so many people, not only in our community, but just in life general, who don't understand that friendship really takes work. And they don't understand, like, yo, for me, like, you have to pay a tax to be my friend because I'm a damn good friend. Like, there are certain things that you have to do. If I don't hear from you, if I only hear from you when you need something, we're not friends. And people don't get that. But I also believe, and I did a video about this before. Most friends in your life are friends by proximity. Like you're only friends because you grew up next door to each other. You're in the same class together. You're on the same sports teams. But when you have distance, i.e., a half of a planet, you really learn who your friends are. And and that goes for family as well. And I think so many people, especially in our community, because we grew up so close knitted to our friends and our family by necessity, historically speaking, that we don't know how to let go of toxic relationships.
I know that.
Like, oh, well, that's my cousin, and that's my sister, and that's my mom. And I'm like,
I'll block you in a minute on Facebook.
yeah, it was interesting. Like, it wasn't until that I cut off communication with my mother that my relationship with my mother got better. Like, we are better today than we ever were. But I want to say maybe 7 years ago, we had a huge falling out, and it was toxic, and it had to go.
Gotta go.
You know, so it's really interesting. All right, cool.
So we were talking about the benefits and the disadvantages of, you know, being a black woman traveling abroad and what prepared us. So that just making a decision to show up, and I also say this in business, that my goal is to help leaders show up and show out in every area of their life, right? And so when you made the intention of knowing who you are and it's in alignment with what your life purpose is, and that's not some aloof thing in the sky that somebody else determined for me. I got quiet and found it on my own. So I had to stay committed to this journey. Being a black woman, I was taught faith, even though I don't necessarily agree with the way I was taught faith anymore, and I don't practice the same spiritual beliefs of my family in the traditional sense. However, it still gave me the inkling of what belief looked like. And so that goes into how my family has shown up for me. So financially, as a business owner, the reality is I'm still building. I'm still engaging clients, still trying to get people to buy into this hope and this dream that they deserve freedom. I always say I sell freedom and power. That's what I sell. And so when those checks don't come in, rent still got to get paid, and I'm overseas. And having friends who you haven't talked to in years literally happened today, where a girlfriend literally was like, what's your preference, PayPal or Cash App? And you don't even have to ask. So it's been a blessing for people to enter my life in new ways, because I've always been the giver. And that kind of was a detriment where I was burnt out. I was tired, and I just needed a break. And it was, you know, after the miscarriage, after ending that relationship, after leaving a job that I loved, and, you know, living on the water, and I just had this dream life. And it was like, I need a break from everybody and everything, just so I can really focus on me. So, but the distance was somewhat of a disadvantage because I'm such a close friend, and not being able to snuggle with my friends.
Tough,
I'm a touchy, feely person, and a huge disadvantage now from the black woman's perspective. Well, for me, I came on this journey expecting to be around a bunch of black folk. And
really?
Shut up.
No,
Yes.
no.
Because the group was black people.
My Wonder Year is that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Was all black people,
My Wonder Year is black. It's black owned, black run. Remote year is multicultural. It's white. Remote year is primary. I totally forgot about that. Okay, yeah.
So having this belief and this hope that everybody was gonna come with the mindset that I had. Like, I'm like, ooh, we're gonna indulge in culture, and we're gonna get to know these people, and we're gonna be doing all these things of community service and activism and making sure that people are being supported, and we're gonna learn from people. No. And so it was, and how can I say this in the most nicest way?
Don't say it in a nice way.
I mean, it's not about nice. It's not about that. I've never been so hurt so quickly from people that I trusted and was willing to invest in. And,
you mean in the program?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And part of that was my fault. I'll say this because my friend, before I came, he was like, you don't know these people.
Right.
And the reality is you have, you think about norming, storming, the stages of group dynamics, period.
Right.
And I came, this is on me, that I came with this assumption that these are going to be my best friends for the rest of my life. And the reality is you still got to get to know people. And who you are in the honeymoon stage of a relationship and dealing with turmoil. And we faced a lot of just trauma. It was just so much. It was like, can I really enjoy what this is like? Because, being in Prague, Czech Republic, which is clearly Europe.
Oh yeah.
It's Europe.
Yeah.
And so, and not being able to see me in the people, I think Chiang Mai is why I love Chiang Mai so much, was because it was like, ooh, brown people, yellow people, black people.
Very diverse.
I was so happy and thirsting. And I literally told some people in Blackpackers, I was thirsting for that energy. And so the benefit has been a lot of these social, whether it be for entrepreneurship purposes, whether it be for black people meetups and different things like that, it's been getting to know people from around the world that I never would have met. And I have, although I've lost a lot, I have gained some amazing friendships. And so for that, I am grateful.
So as a professional, so what would you consider yourself? A professional motivator, speaker, writer?
I'm a leadership and engagement strategist.
I don't know what that is.
I help people with leadership. First of all, I'm a social worker, and I'm just me. I'm great. How about that? And so, but no, I mean, what it is I was the director of organizational development. So I help leadership development. I work with organizations to make sure to increase their profit, performance, and power. Move people from communication to really connecting to engaging. Those are my goals, to make people not be robots, and to really show up and to connect their heart space with their mind, and to really walk on this path that helps them.
It feels like you're going a little counterculture to our traditional capitalistic system of management and control of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So do you feel like it is a new wave of more psychologically conscious?
Absolutely.
Socially conscious people like you who are coming up? Yes. So it's intriguing that you point this out, because I've been very critical of our system and very supportive. I think we just have a different culture in the U.S. As opposed to, say, here in Thailand. So from your perspective, from that professional view, I look at things from a business perspective. I much prefer to have working for me Americans or Westerners, because I know what I'm getting. Consistency is that expectation is there. But I prefer to work with people who aren't from the U.S. or Canada.
Look at you.
So from your perspective, what system, which one do you see works best for the individual and the company? The people are the most important perspective, or the end product is the most important?
That's the thing, it's all of it. So, okay, so when you were talking, I was like, that's E, establish excellence as your norm. So let me just say what the healthy acronym is. So it's honor everyone's journey. And E, establish excellence as your norm. A, advance the culture with innovation. L, lead with vulnerability and joy. T, thrive with efficiency and passion. H, hear with the intention to act. And Y, yield to the awesomeness of you. So it's all of those things that are a intertwining thing. Like when you talk about efficiency and passion and thriving in that space, I'm talking about having a data lexicon that people understand, standard operating procedures. So there are these business dynamics that have to be handled in order for the workplace to be a safe space and an efficient place where people can be passionate and can align their personal values to the work and the mission and vision of the organization, which should impact clients' experience. and should drive profit. So they don't have to be separate. That's my whole purpose, is to be able to show the combination and the intertwining of the two. So you don't have to choose. Like, we think that it has to be this, one or the other. And it's like, no, absolutely not. Because my established excellence as your norm is to say that I expect and deserve quality no matter what business I'm working with. And to make sure that you are efficient and you are, if you understand what business really is, you're there to serve a purpose and
Now,
to provide a product.
but on that note, do you believe that what you teach or what you believe in or what you focus on can be applied to the individual who's not working in business or who's not creating business? So what is the benefit of the average person who's watching this video who isn't working in a business, somebody who works for the post office, for example?
Absolutely.
What are the benefits of what you're saying to that individual?
So today, the biggest one that most people walked away with was to honor your journey. And it's like, if you don't honor your journey, you can't honor anybody else's journey. And especially for this global perspective, and that's who your audience predominantly is, we need to learn what empathy looks like. And a lot of people say you can't teach empathy. And I believe that if you don't believe in, we can't teach empathy, then shoot, the world might as well end. That's crazy. Because that means you don't believe in change. But really, I don't think we allow ourselves to even first get vulnerable with ourselves to understand what are the various things that we've gone through in life that have shaped and molded us to be the people who we are.
Well, I think that also goes back to self-awareness. I mean, and I think we spoke about this privately, that self-awareness is probably, it is the one tool that's made me successful in life.
Come on, somebody.
And most people, I believe, are successful in life. And it's easy to identify somebody who does not have self-awareness. It is very, and I think a lot of friends and family don't have self-awareness. It's like when you're talking to your best friend who's fucking up, you're like, hey man, how do you not see this? Like, how don't you see this as a problem and you have to make a change? So I think that before people can do anything to progress, they have to become more self-aware, and they have to take that long, hard look at not only themselves but the community around them.
What were the factors that influenced it?
Yeah, what made you a bigot? Like, if somebody called you a racist, like what factors? And you don't believe, and I get, and I only use race because we're black. You know? It's a good starting point.
Ooh, that's a good conversation too.
I've met so many people. For example, I just did the video that I posted up yesterday. I called out the Dominican Republic for the treatment of the Haitians.
I canceled the trip too because of that as well.
So many people don't know about this. People are like, what? I got so many messages. People are just like, what are you talking about? And like, so many people don't know about this. If you don't know what I'm talking about,
disconnected
go back to my video yesterday about culture shock, and I'll explain it there. But there are so many people, Dominican friends, when I lived there, who didn't understand how their words were bigoted or racist, because it became such a social norm. People here in Thailand don't understand how them bleaching their skin white can be perceived by people of color like as offensive or less than or lack of desire. So talking to them helps them develop that self-awareness. So with that said, what can people do to, in your opinion, become more self-aware, not only to the energy and the issues they're putting out, but the things that they're pulling in, like the negativity, the frustration, or the causes of their issues? So
one of the things that exercises that I do with some of my clients, it's like a data dump, or it's like a life dump. So really just giving yourself to just spend 10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes, to go through what are all the things that happen to you, right? No judgment, and really just being gentle with yourself. And it doesn't have to be a extreme thing, but just really like the first things that come to mind. And me and you were talking one day, and it was just like, as I'm talking to you, I'm like, yeah, that happened, that happened. And like, for example, me meeting a gentleman named Dusko Popovic, who's from Yugoslavia, in first grade. And, you know, him saying, and I'm like, what is Yugoslavia? What is that? And I'm just like, because I got to know everything. I'm like, I need to figure out where this place is in the world, and eventually I'm going to go there. But it was one of the things that kind of sparked that interest of travel. So I can pinpoint who I am today to that moment way back in first grade. And there's like my experience to race riots and not being treated fairly. Growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, I remember at the jazz festival and white folks riding in cars down the street, and just the anger we had. and it was like, let me just throw something at the car, or just and screaming and all of this. But it was like it wasn't really that person in that car. We were reacting to the horses that would come down in Clifton and would come and they would throw the little gas at us. And this is, not too long ago. And the different things that we were facing. So it was all of the pressure. And so I think about all of those different things, and you just do that dump. And then you put them in a chronological order, and you look at, okay, item A, B, C, D, whatever. And then you look at and think about, okay, well, what are the times, like for me, like I moved to Florida because my mama got tired of the snow. So I have seen a woman make an intentional effort to move somewhere because she didn't like something. It wasn't the military that told her to go. It wasn't a husband that told her to go. It was a woman who made a decision. So because I've seen that, I was able to mirror that. And so then I started moving everywhere. And I went to Alabama, Georgia, DC. So you kind of go back and you look at the things that have happened in your life. And then you understand what caused it. Were you moving out of pain? Were you moving out of joy? What was your voice in it? What was your choice? And then looking at what was your power. And the more you look at that, you look at how many times you actually used your power or somebody else's power influenced your life. And then you get to take your life back. And you get to see, like, okay, is there certain areas where I am more comfortable using my power, or there's other areas where I'm like, not so much. I kind of got somebody has to tell me, or they have to push me, opposed to me really knowing that this is important to me. So I don't care. I'm making an intentional effort. And those are the things where we're so scared of the sacrifices because we just don't know what's going to happen because of judgment. I hate this whole yeah or nah mentality. Like it has to be one or the other in the whole, or you have to compromise and all of that. I love Eartha Kitt. Compromise for what? So making a true choice and being okay with it. And if I fail, I fail up. I've learned so much, just being out here.
Who was it? Denzel said fall forward?
Fall forward, fail up. Yeah, all that. So yeah.
Okay. So with that said, and let's close out. And remember, this is going to be a 2-part video, and I'll definitely link to the second video. So closing out, where can people find you, your work, and how can you help my audience find their path?
Okay, so that's an easy one. Thank you. See, Kush should have gave me some questions. But you can go to www.BeLeadGrow, which is to help you to be your best self, to lead with vulnerability and joy, and to lead with the globe in mind, and to grow with innovation and creativity. So BeLeadGrow.com. And if you go there, there's a complimentary tool that is the power planning framework that helps you to tap in. And it's a very simple tool that you can use to really understand what does that mean to tap into your greatest self, and to really give you a framework to say, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to play in my power. I'm ready to do what's up. What's next?
All right, perfect. Well, Angie, thank you so much for sitting down with us and talking.
Thanks for being here.
We've done this off camera. We've talked off camera, and I absolutely love it. But I'll be leaving a link to all her social media accounts, her website below. Don't forget, we have another video that's coming up. That's going to be coming up after this. If you guys have any questions, I'm sure you're free to answer them.
Absolutely.
Just comment below or send us a private message. And remember, leave the world better than you found it. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.